Hey guys, so today I'm going to be explaining the typical format that we should be prepping for Congress. And we're going to go through this, and I want to make sure that everyone has seen this video because I want you to follow every guideline that I give in this video. I do not want to see the Google Drive a couple of days before the tournament day and see that we have not formatted our articles correctly, because formatting them correctly is the key to making sure that we are efficient in round, and that can make all the difference, because when you have the right piece of evidence, you can give the best speech and you can make sure that you can, simply put, win. So let's really go through this format. So the first thing is, of course, at the top, there's going to be the title of the bill itself. This one is a bill to raise taxes on the wealthy, also known as the billionaire bill. And then right below it, there's going to be the text of the bill itself, so that you can always have that to see as, like a reference. And then we also have, of course, the AF evidence and the neg evidence, which is going to be cut like your typical card. It's going to have your site, it's going to have your tagline, it's going to have your text. But I'm going to show you exactly how we cut that evidence. So, for example, we've got this Forbes article here, How Should We Tax the Rich? And what you're going to do is that this is actually going to be a great piece of affirmative evidence. So you're going to go in and you're actually going to copy paste all the text in the article. So you can do that by obviously Command C on a Mac or Control C on Windows, and using the special verbatim option of pasting without formatting. As you can see, I'm using the F2 button at the top of the Word ribbon. You can always use F2 as a shortcut itself on a Windows PC. But basically, you're just gonna take it and you're gonna copy paste the entire text of the article. And after that, you can highlight all of it and condense it so that it's all one block and it's easy to read when you emphasize certain things. So now what you're going to do is you're going to actually emphasize and highlight the certain things which you should be seeing. Of course, we should have the entire article there for reference, but only the stuff that we should be seeing should be emphasized and highlighted. As you can see, I'm using the shortcuts, up at the top. Particularly, I like green highlighting. You can do any color that you want, but green highlighting is preferred because it doesn't really hurt the eyes, and it's also super useful. So there you go. Now we have the text of the article itself. However, we now need the site. And something cool that I use is the site creator option from Verbatim. And I just, when you enable it, it actually puts a little site in the bottom right corner of every article. So I just take it and I paste it in. This one, for some reason, didn't get the date when it extracted information from the article. So you can go ahead and, of course, put that stuff in. And of course, what you're going to do now is you should definitely get the little, like a little bio of the author of the article themselves, so that you can establish your credibility. It's also super important because if your evidence is, second guessed in a Congress round, you can definitely just be like, yeah, so my article is actually really credible. It's from Howard Gluckman, who is a well-renowned author and an expert on tax policy. So you can kind of use that to up your credibility. You can make the bio of the author a little smaller because it won't be as important. Awesome. So now what you're going to do is you're going to, of course, need your tagline. And that's, of course, super important. And once you put your tagline in, which is just like a simple, one sentence kind of summary of what your card is saying, you can also use that tagline in the table itself. And the table is really important because that's where you can just visualize the arguments and you can see how they interact. So of course, you're going to put your tagline as, in the argument name section. You're going to put the cite in the tagline cite portion, and you're going to put certain important points in the normal text. For example, one of the major things that if the article might say, "Oh, the wealth tax is inefficient," then of course you're going to put that as one of your points in that little super important thing section. However, it's also important that your articles or the points that you make interact with each other. And that's why arguments that clash should be put right next to each other. For example, an article that might say, "Oh, something is good for the economy," and another article that says that it's, bad for the economy. So those would go right next to each other so that if, for example, another representative slash senator says, this bill is good for the economy, you can immediately go to where that argument is and just look across the table. And you'll clearly see that, there is an article that clearly interacts right there, which is, of course, super helpful in round. And that's also why it's really important that you format your evidence correctly. So it's cut the right way as a card, and so your evidence is credible, but also so that you can easily visualize it in round. So this here is actually the finished example of what your bill, once fully formatted, is going to look like. And so as you can see, the articles that clash are clearly next to each other. For example, one of them which says that the policy has failed in Europe before, and the other argument says, "Oh, the policy will actually, solve for the problems that Europe had." And if we keep scrolling down, you'll see a bunch of arguments that clash with each other. And then, of course, you'll see that the affirmative evidence is all cards cut, really beautifully. Same with the negative evidence. And that evidence is just used to make certain arguments in the table itself. So this is going to be super helpful, and I really ask that you follow this format, to a T. Make sure you're not pasting your cards within the table, because that makes for terrible, readability. And what's really important is that the table is there so that we can see the points very clearly, and we can see what we're actually going to say in round. So yeah, there's the video explaining how the format should be. So please make sure that that format is followed. All right. Thanks, guys.